Welcome to Think Bigger with Dr. Mark J. Romano. We have an exciting guest here, folks. We have Dr. Blythe Peebles, that's been a dear friend working with me now for close to 10 years. Chiropractor, graduated from Logan College. What year did you graduate from?
April 2008.
Wow.
So coming up 16 years.
16
next
years.
month.
That's amazing. 16 years, but it's gone by so fast.
Yeah, I kind of count the extra year of outpatient clinic, because we start working on the public our last year.
That's right.
So
That's exactly
really,
right.
really 17 years.
So, what made you get into chiropractic? Dr. Blythe is a chiropractor. He practices in Saltillo, and he also practices in our offices in Pontotoc, Tupelo, and Verona. And we've been together probably close to 8 years now, 9 years.
Yeah, well, 10,
10 years.
2014.
Goodness gracious!
Summer of 2014 was when we started working together.
Wow,
Yeah.
amazing, amazing. And so you graduated school, then you practiced for a bit in Kentucky, right?
Yes, I graduated and I did a preceptorship.
Yes.
My last semester or trimester at Logan. And after that, I went and worked as an associate at the office I did my preceptorship at. So, and I stayed there for about a year and a half, almost 2 years. And then I moved to Mississippi and opened up my first practice in Oxford, Mississippi.
What made you come to Mississippi? Family?
I have family down here, so I've always come down here to visit and love the area, love the people. And
Yes.
So, I was very familiar with Oxford and Tupelo already. So, and it's somewhere I wanted to be. So,
And Oxford is such a fun town.
yeah.
It's grown so much. How long did you practice in Oxford for?
Let's see. I opened my practice there. I moved there in 2010, and then opened up in 11. I got the office up and running in 11. You know as well as I do, it takes a while to get everything in a row, and
Sure.
get everything started. So, and then I sold that practice in 2015, and moved back to Kentucky for a year. Opened a practice there, and also had a satellite in one of the YMCA's there.
Mm-hmm.
But ultimately, my heart was in Mississippi, so I ended up coming back to Mississippi a year later, and that's when me and you started working together, exclusively full time.
Right.
Where previously I was working in Oxford and with you, but
Yes.
I already had full time hours at the Oxford clinic, so
Right.
I think I was working Thursday morning and Saturday morning with you initially.
That's correct. That's correct.
So.
And did you love working and living in Oxford? Because I love the town. I love the town of Oxford. What was it like living there?
Yeah, it was good. I was in my late 20s when I moved there, I guess.
Yes.
So, it was a lot of stuff to do. A lot of good restaurants, mountain biking, all kinds of stuff. Tennis. We did a lot, and
Wow.
had some good friends. Dr. Hal, one of
Yes.
our other colleagues. So, it was really nice living there. There's a lot of college students, so it's the infrastructure of that town's not really made for all the people that live there and come in there on a weekly basis, especially during game days and things like that.
Right.
So that was really the only thing I really didn't like was just the amount of people and trying to get around. It was almost like a big city trying to get around.
Right.
So, but other than that, I love Oxford was great to me. You know that
Yes.
did well in the practice, and especially once I started working with you.
Yes.
So, yeah.
And you get back there often, I'm sure.
I get back over there about once a month.
About once a month, yeah. Go to the
So,
restaurants.
yeah, sometimes.
Sometimes,
Yeah.
yes.
Depends
Yeah.
if we go into town or not.
Absolutely,
So.
absolutely. But I know you serve people very well there, and you go back to Kentucky, and you just can't shake Mississippi. So when you come back to Mississippi, and now here you are, you have your practice, you have 3 other practices that you're a part of. How do you manage your time?
very carefully. That's one thing. Time management, prioritization is very important with what we do, because we are not only running 3 practices, we're also high volume.
Yeah.
And
Well, you have four. You have four.
yeah, so
Yes.
technically now I'm working in 4 offices.
Yes.
Yes, and so first and foremost, I say is our health. Putting your and my health first.
Yes.
Because if we're not at the top of our game, then we can't serve all the people that we serve.
Right.
So that was the main thing, was getting in that groove, because initially I wasn't really taking good care of myself. I wasn't exercising with real consistency and eating as clean as I should. But once I started doing that a few years ago, everything changed. So taking care of ourselves first, number one, putting that as a priority, getting that time in, cardio, working out, eating
Right.
healthy, and then obviously reading. We spend a lot of time reading and trying to make ourselves better at what we do, not only with chiropractic, but business and everything else.
Mm.
And then also we have to spend a lot of time outside of the office, on the office, marketing and handing out brochures and things like that. So creating a network of referrals is important too. So you and I know I'm very structured, and you're even more structured than me.
No.
So your day starts early too and ends late, and it's every day, all day long.
Yeah.
So
Producing it. What book are you currently reading?
um, I'm in between. I just got, what was that last book you
There's so many. There's so many.
recommended to me? Yes, I ordered one. Anyway, I've got to start it
Okay.
because the last, I will say my reading suffered a little bit while I was kind of running things, running the 4 offices. So,
Absolutely.
and that's on me. So I've got to get back into my habit of reading,
Well, it's
because it's vitally important. So
yeah, but just like you're saying, in the different times that you're prioritizing in life of what you have going on. So with chiropractic, how how much of a place does chiropractic have in your life, your identity, you as a person?
uh, I mean, it's up there at the top,
Yeah.
for me
Right.
personally.
Yes.
If I've got one thing to anchor my identity to, it is chiropractic, as well as you. You know
Yes.
what I mean? So you feel the same way. I don't want to be anywhere else. I don't want to be doing anything else. I want to be in the offices taking care of people.
Yeah.
And the more streamlined we can get with making the rest of our life easy and facilitate that, then we're doing good. So
And you bring up an interesting point. So chiropractic is a huge part of your purpose, huge part of your mission. And having a life that allows you to live closer to that purpose is a priority for you.
yes, absolutely.
How what would happen? Because we all have different adversities in our life. We all make decisions, good and bad. How would you deal with an adversity that was pulling you away from being the best chiropractor you could be, pulling you away from your chiropractic purpose?
Uh, I'd have to let it go. Anything that stands in the way of us um, getting closer to our mission and reaching our potential through chiropractic kind of has to be eradicated. We don't have time for anything that's not making us better each day. Anything that's taking us away from our potential. With chiropractic.
Is it ever insidious or hard to track that sometimes things can come up that you're like, wait a second, this isn't helping me toward my purpose?
Yeah, a lot of it, and for me, it's my mind a lot too. Like, what are my thoughts focusing on? Where are my thoughts at? What am I focusing a lot
Yes.
of my attention to? And if it's not chiropractic, if it's not positive things, then I try and shut them off quick. You know,
And how do you catch that? How do you catch it?
you just get better at feeling it, noticing it. If you have negative thoughts, which I don't really like I used to, you know
Right.
what I mean?
Yeah.
Because we see the abundance in everything. We see the happiness in our purpose. And, I don't. I don't have any reason to be sad or upset. We get to wake up every day, and even if it's our last day, we're going to wake up and we're going to serve everybody we can in the office.
Yes.
So, I really don't have many bad days anymore. You know what I mean?
That's
And
good.
really, it's maybe bad moments.
Yes.
It's not nothing stays. You don't attach yourself to it. You let it go by. You notice things happen in your life. We all have adversities and challenges on a daily basis. How we redirect our efforts really determine the course.
Right. And so that redirect, when you do see things that maybe are not aiding or keeping you on the track you want to stay on. And a lot of times it's so insidious, and this happens to all of us, myself included. What's some of the habits that you have? You talked earlier about your health,
Yeah.
and keeping your body in check. How do you get back on track? And sometimes it's not the easiest thing to do, because I would imagine that most people aren't as committed as you are to a purpose in their life and so anchored to it.
Yeah.
So how do you deal? How do you deal? Because obviously you're checking yourself every day. What do you do to keep yourself on track, fired up, excited, and letting things go that are not bringing you closer to your purpose and mission?
Yeah. For me, everybody's different.
Yeah, but this is all about you. This interview.
For
Yes.
me, physicality is attached to that. So working out, training. If I get up and get a workout in early, then my whole day is on a different route. You know
That's
what I
great,
mean?
yeah.
In the right way. So activity really helps me. Physically active. Exercise, running. That's same as you.
Mm.
I'm a skateboarder too, so I do skateboard. I haven't got to skateboard as much in the last year because I've been up there in Saltillo.
Yes,
but
right. Yeah.
that's always something that clears my mind too. So
And when you're skateboarding and doing all these tricks and pushing your body, do you ever have any concern of injury or anything like
there's
that?
a risk involved with everything we do. We could get hit walking across the street. You
Yeah.
know what I mean? So we know the risk involved, but if it's something, chiropractic's my purpose, and
Yes.
skateboarding is something that's kind of close
That's
to it, but
exciting.
under it. So
Yeah, that's
it's
exciting.
not something I'm going to give up. I love it too much. Now I can control what I do. I'm on a level skateboarding that I know my limits, so I know what to do and what not to do, and I don't really push past an unsafe limit.
Do you ever sometimes push past those limits?
I try things
Yeah.
because even though I've been, I started skating 30 years ago. Now there was a big time gap where I didn't skate until a few years ago, and
Mhm.
so as I started back, I had to get my bearings back, and once I got to the level, where I got comfortable, then I wanted to start improving even more. So
Absolutely.
I guess I have pushed the limits some.
And
So
I think it's inevitable when you're committed to excellence.
Yeah.
Let me see what I can do. Now, when you were skateboarding in your younger days, did you compete in any events?
No, because I was in a small town in Kentucky. This is back before really the internet was anything big.
Right.
You didn't really have home internet. So our only source of kind of the skateboarding world and culture were magazines, Thrasher, Trans World, or the catalogs that you bought skateboards out of. You had to order out of a catalog back then,
Right.
and you had in those catalogs you could order VHS tapes of the pros, for the different companies. So
Right.
that was our only exposure was, and there were certain contests around the country, but I mean when you're 13 years old, it's not like you're going to be traveling to California or Florida,
No
or
doubt.
none of those were really close to us in rural Kentucky.
That's
So
right. Did you have a half pipe or anything like that?
my buddy did have a half pipe, Brent Wright. I'm going to shout him out. So, and he's got another one right now that him and another guy built, Cody, and it's even bigger than the one we had when we were kids. So I
You
go
go-
back and
yeah.
skate that when I go visit.
So you have skated it.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
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 And how far up in the air are you flying?
Oh man, I'm not getting air anymore. I'm just doing some stalls and rock to fakies and maybe I did a disaster,
Yeah,
so
see,
front
there you
side
go.
disaster,
Yeah,
so
so you're
little
getting some
little
air,
bit of air,
getting some air,
not much. So
getting some air, but it's still air.
yeah,
So obviously, this is heavily in your blood.
yeah,
And are you involved with the skateboard community in Tupelo?
yes. Good friend of mine, Matt Robinson, owns Change Skate Shop and has been a huge advocate for the skateboarding movement in this community. So it's yeah, I mean we've seen a lot of stuff come into town because of him and his advocacy for it. So
Yeah, I mean, we had the event last
yeah, the
summer.
Change Fest is 2 years in a row.
It's
They've had
great.
some big names come through for that, supporting that, and
Yes.
also a lot of art and music associated with that. The skate scene also carries, some tangent cultures with it as well. So,
Yeah, and tell me about that. So, how? What's the affiliation between skateboarding and art?
well, a lot of skaters tend to be, you know, the type of people who are artistic.
Yes.
Whether that with different mediums. Initially, I mean, for me, the act of skateboarding was the art. You know what I mean? I
Yes.
was never a painter or a drawer or anything like
But you
that.
were a musician.
Yes, I did play instruments, and a lot of skaters are musically inclined too. They've got a creative side, so um, I gravitated towards the skateboarding itself. That I was more of a doer. You know what I mean? So,
Yes, I could see that. And what ultimately got you into chiropractic?
great question. So, let's see. I was in my senior year in high school was when I mean, I knew a couple chiropractors in my hometown. One ended up, her name was Dr. Liz Parrott, and she ended up marrying the president of Logan, Dr. George Goodman. And she'd been a chiropractor in my hometown. I knew her. I grew up with her daughter, but I didn't know about chiropractic
Hmm.
really. And when I was a senior in high school, we went on a science trip and we went to Logan and we got to look at the cadaver lab and they took us around the school and stuff. So that first kind of piqued my interest. I was like, okay, because I knew I wanted to be in healthcare in some capacity.
How far was Logan from your
About
town?
3 hours.
So you guys drove there in one
Yeah,
day.
yeah, yeah.
Wow.
No, no, no. We spent the night. We made a weekend trip of
Oh,
it.
you did.
Yeah. So we did some
Wow.
other things other than just visit that. But and then fast forward the next year, I was in undergrad at Murray State, and a good friend of mine, she was about to go to chiropractic school,
Yes.
and in the next year, and so she knew that I was wanting to become, a doctor or whatever,
Yes.
and she basically said, "I think you should look into this." And I was like, you know what? I met some cool chiropractors up there, and then I'd met one in my hometown who had just opened up right when I was a senior. He was a young guy, Logan grad, and so all the pieces kind of fell in place, and it just made sense to me. And plus, during my undergrad freshman year, I also worked at a medical clinic in Madisonville, Kentucky, and you know, during that time, I realized, I like anatomy, physiology, but I don't think this is the capacity I want to serve people in,
Right.
you know, medically.
Yes.
And so I just gravitated towards it. So I don't have the same story as a lot of chiropractic students because a lot of them are either their family were chiropractors or
Hmm.
they had some kind of you know you know
Experience.
experience as a patient that led them to become a chiropractor.
Right.
But I was just more. It made more sense to me.
Yes.
It just made sense. It was logical for me. So that's how I got into it,
Absolutely.
and then in my quest to continue to learn more and more. I mean, obviously, we learn way more outside of school once we're done than
Right.
we learned in school.
Sure.
So
Absolutely.
yeah,
And how do you think that the art of skateboarding sort of perhaps propelled you to the art or drew you to the art of chiropractic? Are there any similarities?
yeah, you could say there's some crossover there. Obviously with the potential, you know what I mean? The potential in skateboarding and the potential in the human body. You know what I mean?
Yes.
We don't realize how powerful it is. We don't. And the more we learn about chiropractic, the more we realize that that potential is enormous. And within skateboarding, you see people doing stuff now that 20 years ago we were like, there's no way.
No way.
We see people doing tricks now that that people were doing on Tony Hawk Pro Skater just for fun, like, and they're like, oh, there's no way anybody would ever be able to do that. And now we're seeing kids keep pushing the limits,
Yes.
physical, you know, the physical limits of what people can do in sports. I mean, we see it all the time, and go back to what was the guy's name who broke the 4-minute mile?
Yeah.
And then the next year, a bunch of people did
A
it.
bunch of people
So
did it.
once someone does something one time and people perceive it as a possibility, then other people can do it too.
Absolutely.
So skateboarding is no different.
And you mentioned potential. How does chiropractic relate to human potential?
And this is where there's a lot of confusion with what chiropractic is. Most people think of chiropractic as treatment for pain, physical medicine, and we know that's not what it's about.
Mm-hmm.
That may be what draws someone to the chiropractor, but ultimately it's about your quality of life. Chiropractic deals with the nervous system, which controls every function in your body, and when you help that system work more efficiently through correcting the vertebral subluxations, which is what we do, that produce stress or that are caused by stress producing interference, that it unlocks more potential in the human body. So now we can't quantify what's going to happen. You and I both know that. The more we do this, the longer we do this, the more we realize we can't give definitive answers.
Right.
In certain ways, we can give definitive answer in other ways, logically.
Okay, and what would be the logical? What would be a logical definitive answer in chiropractic?
For
that
me,
a chiropractor of your caliber would
yes,
say with certainty.
I can say this with certainty. When someone has a vertebral subluxation, it is always bad. So the correction of that is always going to be good.
In regards to better expression of life, reaching your full potential.
Yes, exactly. Reaching closer to someone's fullest potential, and we know that. So just like any other good habit, eating healthy, rest, water, those things are going to help you. And they may help different people differently, but we know they're going to help.
So that was perfectly stated. Two things. First, what frustrates you most as a chiropractor?
That's a good question. With other chiropractors or with
in any category, with
Yeah.
whether it's with the people you serve, other chiropractors, being a chiropractor.
Yeah, I try not to let a lot frustrate me. Just like you, we look at them more as challenges, but two different. Let's go two different categories.
Okay.
So within chiropractic, what frustrates me with the other chiropractors is when someone is practicing incongruently with the way they're serving themselves and their family. You know what I mean?
Yes, it's frustrating.
When they say one thing in their office, but they're doing another thing, it's disingenuous.
Okay.
So, for example, if a chiropractor tells someone coming into them that they only need to come when they're hurting, but they check their family spine every single week because they know that their family's better off without vertebral subluxations, but they're not giving that same message to the people coming into their office and actually paying them money. That's an incongruency right there.
Interesting.
So that'd be one that's pretty frustrating.
And what would be the other category?
With the members, we have to really vet them and find the right people. We know that everybody needs chiropractic. That's without question.
Yeah.
But not everybody wants it. Everybody needs to eat healthy and work out, but not everybody wants to.
Yeah.
So me and you are tasked with sifting through the people who are serious about this and the people who aren't. So sometimes we have to deal with people who aren't serious.
Right.
And the best thing to do is to do our best to educate them, but not attach ourselves emotionally to the outcome of their decision.
Yeah.
What they choose to do is on them, not on us.
Sure.
And once we can do that, then, I sleep well.
Yeah,
knowing that I've done and said everything that I know is in my power to help that person. And whether or not they receive it is up to them.
Up to them. And you build a very happy practice that way.
Yeah.
And what, and this will be the biggest message for your listeners. What excites you the most about chiropractic? What is the most, because you're on fire all the time.
Yeah.
So there's obviously a powerful driving force. What is that driving force for you?
When I get in a zone, when I check, like lately I've just had an explosion at the Saltillo office.
Yes.
There's been days where I'm checking 60, 70 spines, and when I get in a zone, when I get, like when we get in that zone where we're dialed into what we're doing, checking, we tune out everybody else and we're focused right on that person in front of us. And that feeling of just staying in that office and checking spine after spine, knowing you're making a difference in your community, that lights me on fire pretty good.
Yeah, I can see that. I think everyone who knows you can see that.
Yeah.
So this has been a fabulous interview. Do you have a website for your Saltillo office or a place people can reach you?
Absolutely. The office is very simple, www.saltillochiro.com. And obviously we also have Facebook, Instagram pages, and all that. So you can check on there, message directly to schedule free consultation or call the office and we'll get you scheduled up. And we have obviously, 6 to 7 day a week availability.
One last question. I know we said that was, but one last question. Best TV show of all time? Seinfeld or Sopranos?
I'm going to go with Sopranos.
Sopranos.
As much of a Seinfeld fan and The Office and Breaking Bad, everything, but Sopranos, look at the ratings.
Yes.
James Gandolfini's portrayal of Tony Soprano is probably arguably the best ever. So
you've heard it, folks. James Gandolfini, Tony Soprano. Dr. Blythe, thank you for your time. We would love to have you back on our show.
Absolutely.
As you are always thinking bigger.
I'll be back.
All right, brother. Thank you.
Thank you.